The stars stretched endlessly across the black sky, cold and silent, but that silence was about to be broken. Far beyond the orbit of Mars, the dragon riders floated in formation, their massive dragons glowing with strange, otherworldly energy. Each dragon was bigger than the largest human ship, its wings spread wide even in the weightless void. The riders, tall and proud, sat in sleek harnesses that connected them to their dragons' minds. Together they were perfect, unstoppable. Earth's fleet, by comparison, looked tiny. Small fighters, nimble and fast, blinked in and out of the asteroid field near Saturn. They were guided by humans, pilots who had trained their whole lives for moments like this. One of them, Captain Alex Mercer, sat in the cockpit of his ship, hands resting lightly on the controls. His dark hair fell over his forehead, and his eyes were sharp, scanning the darkness for any sign of movement. "Captain Mercer, sensors detect multiple signatures approaching from the outer rim," said his co-pilot, a young woman named Lila. Her voice was calm, but her fingers tapped nervously on the console. Alex nodded without looking away from the stars. "They're coming. Keep our speed steady. We wait for the right moment. Don't fire until I say so." Lila swallowed. "Right, sir. But they're dragons, Captain. Real dragons. In space." Alex allowed a small smile. "Exactly. That's why they'll never expect us." The human fleet had been preparing for this for years. Everyone in the galaxy laughed at Earth, calling humans weak and small. The dragons had dominated every battle in the outer systems. But the humans had something the dragon riders didn't have: courage, creativity, and a willingness to take risks that no one else would. Alex remembered his first time flying against a dragon. He had been a cadet, terrified, but when he looked into the glowing eyes of a dragon for the first time, something had clicked inside him. Fear turned into focus, panic into precision. That memory gave him strength now in this moment. A warning light blinked on the console. "Captain, they're breaking formation. The lead dragon is coming straight for us." Alex's hands tightened on the controls. "Hold steady. Wait for my signal." His voice was calm, but inside, his heart raced. The dragon moved faster than anything human technology could normally achieve. Its wings spread wide, energy crackling around them like a living storm. Lila's eyes widened. "It's huge. We're going to get destroyed." "Not if we're smart," Alex said. He pushed a button, sending a signal to the rest of the fleet. "All units, prepare for evasive maneuvers. Remember your training." Around them, small human ships blinked like fireflies in the dark. Each pilot gripped their controls, waiting for the right moment. Some were veterans, hardened by years of drills and simulations. Some were young, almost afraid to breathe. But all of them were ready. The dragon riders circled closer. They were like shadows moving through the void, their scales reflecting the light of distant suns. The humans could see their glowing eyes, intelligent and cruel. Every movement was precise, every attack planned. But for all their power, the dragons did not know human minds. They had never faced a species that fought with cunning instead of raw strength. Alex leaned forward in his seat, watching the lead dragon approach. "This is it," he whispered to himself. "Our chance to show them what humans can do." Suddenly, the dragon's energy surged. It lunged toward the human fleet, wings thrashing, sending out bursts of power that shook the small fighters. Lila screamed, but Alex stayed calm. "Now," he shouted. "Evade." The fleet scattered, twisting through the asteroid field with sharp, sudden movements. Rocks and debris became cover. The dragons followed, their enormous bodies crashing into the void, but the humans slipped between the shadows. For a moment it seemed impossible. The dragons were faster, stronger, and bigger. But the humans were clever. They had learned to use the environment, to think ahead, to trust each other. Alex smiled as he watched a dragon miscalculate, hitting an asteroid and spinning out of control. A cheer went up from the fleet. It was only the beginning. Far above the chaos, the stars watched silently. The galaxy had never seen a human fleet stand against the dragons. And though the humans were small and fragile, they had something more powerful than any dragon: courage. Alex took a deep breath, looking at his squadron. "This is our fight. Not just for Earth, but for every place the dragons think they own. We're going to make them regret underestimating us." The dragon riders regrouped, their eyes glowing like molten fire. The humans were ready. And somewhere in the darkness, the first sparks of battle began to ignite, signaling the start of a war that would shake the stars. The silence of space shattered with a roar. The dragons moved with terrifying speed, weaving between the asteroids like living shadows. Their riders shouted commands in a language humans couldn't understand, their voices carrying through neural links that made the dragons even faster and sharper. The human fleet braced itself, small ships darting like sparks against a storm. Captain Alex Mercer tightened his grip on the controls. His eyes scanned the void, tracking every movement of the dragons. Remember, don't follow them blindly. Watch the asteroids. Use them. They think speed and size are everything. They don't know human cunning. Lila's hands flew over the controls. Captain, the lead dragon is turning toward the outer field. They're trying to split us up. Good, Alex said, his jaw tight. We'll make them regret that. He pressed a button, sending a signal to the rest of the squadron. The human fighters fanned out, zigzagging through the asteroid field. The dragons lunged, claws extended, energy crackling from their bodies. Explosions lit the darkness as the human ships narrowly avoided the blasts. Alex's heart pounded, but his mind was calm. This was a test, and humans had always been good at tests. He remembered his training, the countless hours of simulations, the impossible scenarios where the enemy always seemed unbeatable. Now it was real, and he felt alive in a way no simulator could ever teach. One of the dragons, larger than the rest, swooped down toward a human fighter. Alex's co-pilot Lila shouted, "They're going to take him." "Not if we act fast," Alex said. He guided his ship toward the dragon's path, firing a precise pulse from the energy cannon. The blast struck the dragon's wing, forcing it to veer sharply. The small fighter behind Alex zipped past, avoiding destruction. The human pilot gave a thumbs up over the comms and Alex smiled. But the victory was small. The dragons were relentless. Another pair swooped down, forcing the human ships to scatter. "We can't hold them forever," Lila said, panic in her voice. Alex shook his head. "We don't have to hold them forever. We only need one chance. One mistake from them, one opening, and we turn the battle." A young human pilot, barely out of training, screamed as a dragon lunged at him. Alex reacted instantly, firing a pulse that grazed the dragon's scales. The creature yelped and veered off course. Alex's voice came over the comms. "Everyone focus. Don't fight them one-on-one. Work together. Make them stumble." For the first time, something changed. The dragons, used to fear and obedience, hesitated. They had never faced humans who moved as a team, who thought in patterns no dragon could predict. The human pilots used the asteroids as cover, darting around rocks, weaving through narrow spaces that the dragons couldn't match. Then Alex saw it, a mistake. One of the dragons, focused on chasing a fighter, didn't notice the spinning asteroid ahead. He signaled the squadron. "Now, led it toward the field." The dragon charged and the humans split to the sides. The dragon hit the asteroid with a deafening crash, spinning out of control. Cheers erupted in the fleet. Even Lila smiled, relief shining on her face. But the dragons were not done. From the darkness, a shadow emerged, Sereth, the Crimson Wing. His scales glowed red and his eyes burned with fury. He moved faster than any dragon in the field, weaving through the chaos like a predator on fire. Alex's stomach tightened. He knew Sereth. Stories of his victories had spread across the galaxy. This dragon rider did not lose. "Everyone get ready," Alex said, his voice steady. "Sereth is here. Stay focused. He's fast but not unbeatable." The fleet regrouped, forming a tight formation. The dragons circled them, eyes glowing, claws extended. Energy crackled in the void, making the darkness shimmer like fire. The first real fight had begun. Alex felt a thrill. This was what he had trained for, what every human pilot had dreamed of. They were small, yes, but clever. Fast, yes, but disciplined. And no matter how powerful the dragons were, humans had something dragons would never understand: courage, teamwork, and the will to survive against impossible odds. Sereth lunged at Alex's ship, claws flashing. Alex twisted, dodging the strike, and fired a pulse from his cannon. The energy hit the dragon's wing, making it screech and pull back. Alex's heart raced, but he stayed calm. "This is it," he thought. "This is our moment." Around him, the fleet fought as one. Every move was calculated, every pulse fired with purpose. The dragons, huge and terrifying, began to falter. One by one, the human tactics were working. The fleet had turned a corner. In the distance, the stars continued to shine, indifferent to the battle below. But for the first time, humans were not afraid of the stars. They were not afraid of dragons. They were fighters, thinkers, survivors. And today they would show the galaxy exactly what that meant. As the first flashes of victory lit the darkness, Alex Mercer knew the real battle had only just begun. But for now, the humans had made their mark. They had survived first contact and the dragons had learned something new. Humans could not be underestimated. The battle had reached a tense calm, but the calm was only the eye of the storm. Human ships hovered in the asteroid field, small lights against the vast black of space. The dragons had pulled back slightly, regrouping with their riders. Captain Alex Mercer studied the sensors, watching for any sign of weakness. "Captain, we're picking up movement near the outer base," Lila said, pointing to the holographic display. "They're heading straight for our supply station." Alex's stomach sank. The base was crucial. Without it, the human fleet would run out of energy and ammunition. "We can't let them take it," he said. "If they destroy it, our whole defense collapses. Prepare the squadron for a strike. We need to slow them down." The dragons came like shadows, twisting and turning through the void. Their claws left streaks of energy across the darkness. Humans fired back, but the difference in size and power was clear. The dragons could smash through human ships almost at will. Still, Alex refused to panic. "Remember," he said, "we're small but we're smart. Use what we know. Work together." A wave of dragons attacked the base, their energy strikes lighting up the station like fireworks. Explosions rocked the hull, alarms screamed, and human engineers scrambled to save what they could. Alex gritted his teeth. "We can't stop them all, but we can stop some. Follow me." He pushed his ship forward, dodging blasts of energy weaving through debris. Lila's voice rang in his ears. "Captain, they're faster than us. They'll get there first." Alex shook his head. "Then we get there faster." He calculated a risky route through the asteroids, a path that no dragon would think to take. The smaller ships followed, trusting his judgment. The dragons hesitated for a moment, their size and speed making them less flexible in the tight spaces. Alex's heart beat like a drum. One wrong move and they would all be crushed. They emerged on the other side, just in time to see a massive dragon about to strike the base's central core. Alex fired a pulse directly at the dragon's wing. It screeched, twisting violently. The base shuddered but remained standing. A human fighter zipped past, taking advantage of the chaos to disable another dragon with a well-aimed shot. "Nice work, everyone," Alex said over the comms, trying to keep his voice calm. "But we're not done yet." He knew the dragons would not retreat easily. Their riders were clever too. Alex thought fast. He remembered something from his early training, a secret tactic, one that relied not on strength but on intelligence. "I'm going in," he said. "Solo mission. I need to get inside their formation and gather data on their neural links. If we understand the connection, we can turn this battle around." Lila's voice trembled. "Captain, it's too dangerous. You'll never make it alone." Alex gave a small, determined smile. "I have to. The fleet needs a chance. Trust me." He accelerated, weaving through the dragon's formation with precision. Energy blasts whizzed past, some too close for comfort. One claw grazed his ship, sparking alarms, but Alex didn't slow. He reached the center of the formation and activated a scanning pulse, analyzing the connection between riders and dragons. Data streamed in, revealing the secret. The dragons' movements were linked to their riders' minds. If the neural bond could be disrupted, even for a few seconds, the dragons would become confused, giving humans a critical advantage. Alex's pulse scanner sent the information back to the fleet. "Got it," he shouted. "I know how to stop them. Focus on the neural link points." The fleet adjusted instantly, targeting the dragons' connection points with precise pulses. One by one, dragons faltered, twisting awkwardly in space. The humans moved with newfound confidence, exploiting every opening. But the dragons were not finished. Sereth, the Crimson Wing, emerged again, faster and more furious than ever. He swooped toward Alex, his eyes glowing like fire. Alex's hands flew over the controls, dodging and weaving, using every skill he had learned. He fired at the neural link connection, disrupting Sereth's control for a fraction of a second. The dragon yelped, giving Alex a narrow window to escape. The fleet cheered as the dragons faltered, but Alex knew this was just the beginning. The humans had turned the tide, but the dragons would adapt. The next battle would be even harder. Floating in the void, Alex took a deep breath. "This is only the start," he thought. "We've learned something crucial today. Even the strongest enemy can be outsmarted." The stars glimmered silently around them. The galaxy was vast and dangerous, but humans had shown that courage and intelligence could rival raw power. Alex looked at his squadron, small but determined. "We fight not just to survive," he said, "but to prove that humanity will never give up. We are clever, we are brave, and we are ready for anything." The dragons regrouped in the distance, their glowing eyes watching, learning. But for now the humans had gained the upper hand. And somewhere deep inside Alex, a spark of hope burned brighter than ever. The calm after the battle was brief. The next challenge loomed, larger and deadlier. But humans had learned something important. Even against impossible odds they could win if they were smart, fast and fearless. And Captain Alex Mercer knew that the real fight, the one that would decide the fate of the galaxy, was still ahead. The Rim Nebula stretched across the horizon, a swirl of bright colors and dark shadows. It was beautiful but dangerous. Gas clouds and rocky debris made flying tricky. Both the human fleet and the dragon riders entered the nebula, knowing it would be the place where the final battle would be fought. Captain Alex Mercer led the human squadron, his eyes sharp as he scanned the swirling clouds. "This is it," he said over the comms. "We fight here and we fight smart. Stick to your training. Trust each other. And remember, size doesn't win battles. Brains and courage do." Lila, sitting beside him, nodded. "Everyone is ready, Captain. We can do this." The dragons emerged like shadows from the nebula mist. Their wings spread wide, energy crackling like lightning. Sereth, the Crimson Wing, led the charge, his scales glowing brighter than ever. Behind him, dozens of other dragons followed, their riders shouting commands through the neural links that connected them. Alex gritted his teeth. "Hold formation. Wait for the first opening." The dragons struck first. Their massive forms twisted and turned, darting between the asteroids. Energy beams exploded in the nebula, lighting up the darkness like fireworks. Human fighters dodged and weaved, small and fast, using every rock and cloud for cover. Alex saw his chance. A group of dragons was focused on chasing another squadron of humans. He whispered, "Now," and his team moved as one. Using the knowledge from Part 3, they targeted the dragons' neural link points with precise pulses. One by one the dragons faltered, twisting in the void as their riders lost control. "Keep going," Alex shouted. "We're turning the tide." The humans worked together, striking from unexpected angles. One fighter zipped behind a dragon, firing a pulse that disrupted the rider's connection. Another pilot used the nebula clouds to hide, then appeared suddenly to force a dragon off course. The dragons, used to power and fear, were not prepared for this clever, coordinated attack. But Sereth was different. Faster and smarter than any dragon in the field, he twisted through the chaos, eyes locked on Alex. He dove toward Alex's ship, claws flashing. Alex spun his fighter, narrowly avoiding the strike. Sparks flew as the claw grazed his hull. "Lila, we have to stop him," Alex shouted. "I'm trying," she cried, fingers flying over the controls. Alex had an idea. He drew Sereth toward a dense cluster of asteroids, a trap he had calculated. The dragon followed, too confident. Just as Sereth lunged again, Alex twisted sharply, and the dragon slammed into an asteroid, spinning out of control. Alex's pulse cannon fired, sending a precise blast at Sereth's neural link. The connection faltered, and Sereth yelped in frustration. The rest of the dragons were already faltering. Humans attacked as one, exploiting the openings. Pulse after pulse struck the dragon's neural links, forcing them to twist and spin helplessly. The human fleet moved like a single organism, small but unstoppable through clever teamwork. "Look at them," Lila exclaimed. "They're faltering." Alex smiled grimly. "Stay sharp. The fight isn't over yet." Despite their size and power, the dragons had no answer for humans who could think faster, move smarter and act together. One by one dragons crashed into asteroids or veered off in confusion. Human fighters zipped past, firing pulses that disabled engines and disrupted neural links. Even the most powerful riders were forced to retreat, their dragons no longer under perfect control. The nebula lit up with explosions and energy strikes, a cosmic dance of light and shadow. It was chaos, but the humans thrived in it. Their courage, skill and ingenuity had turned a fight that seemed impossible into a battle they could win. Alex looked around at his squadron. They were battered but alive. He felt a surge of pride. "We've done it," he said quietly. "We're not just surviving. We're winning." Sereth, weakened but alive, watched from the distance. His eyes glowed with fury, but he knew the humans had outsmarted him. He gave a low roar and signaled the remaining dragons to retreat. They pulled back into the nebula, vanishing into the clouds and shadows. The human fleet hovered, breathing in the silence that followed. They had done what no one expected. Against dragons, against power, against fear, humans had fought not with brute strength, but with courage, intelligence, and teamwork. Alex turned to Lila. This is only the beginning, he said. The dragons will come back. The galaxy is bigger than this battle. But today humans showed that we are not weak. We are clever. We are brave. And we will never give up. The stars shimmered around them. The Rim Nebula glowed softly, witnessing the humans' victory. Small ships floated among the asteroids, battered but proud. The galaxy had learned something important. Humans were a force to be reckoned with. Alex looked at the stars and felt hope burning in his chest. The dragons had been strong, but humans had something stronger: spirit, courage, and the will to survive. And somewhere in the distance, Sereth and his riders retreated, planning their next attack. But Alex knew humans would be ready. No matter what came next, they would face it together, clever, fearless, and unstoppable. The epic showdown had ended. But the war and the legend of humans against dragons had only just begun. The dragons had vanished into the Rim Nebula, their glowing eyes retreating into the darkness. The human fleet floated among the asteroids, small and battered but victorious. Captain Alex Mercer sat in his cockpit, breathing heavily, watching the stars. Silence filled the void, broken only by the soft hum of human ships and the distant echoes of energy blasts. Lila leaned beside him, her face streaked with soot and sweat. We actually did it," she said quietly. Her voice was full of disbelief, relief, and pride. Alex nodded. "Yes. But it's not over. The dragons will come back. They always do. What matters is that we showed them humans aren't weak. We're clever, brave, unstoppable when we work together." Around them, the human pilots began to celebrate quietly. Cheers and laughter echoed in comms channels. Small victories were shared with words of encouragement, smiles, and even a few tears. They had faced the impossible and survived. Against dragons, against sheer power, humanity had won through intelligence, courage, and teamwork. The fleet moved toward the outer colonies, ready to rebuild and repair. Supplies were low and many ships had taken damage, but the morale was stronger than ever. The humans were no longer just tiny sparks in a galaxy dominated by dragons. They were fighters, survivors, and now legends. Alex's eyes scanned the nebula, thinking about Sereth, the Crimson Wing. That dragon had been the fiercest of them all. Its skill and intelligence had pushed him and the fleet to their limits. Yet Alex knew Sereth had learned something too. Dragons had always relied on strength and fear, but humans had something dragons could never understand: unpredictable courage, the ability to think beyond instinct, and the will to fight even when everything seemed lost. The fleet approached a damaged colony station. Engineers floated in zero gravity, working quickly to restore life support and repair hull breaches. Families and civilians watched nervously as humans moved through the chaos, determined and calm. Alex stepped out of his ship, his boots clanging softly on the metal floor. He looked at the faces around him. People were scared, but their eyes held hope. They had survived. A young pilot ran up to him, nearly out of breath. "Captain Mercer, did you see the Crimson Wing? You took him down." Alex smiled, crouching to meet the pilot's eye level. "We did it together. Everyone did their part. That's why we won. Remember that. Humans can do amazing things when we trust each other." Lila approached, handing him a small communicator. "There's a message from Earth Command. They want to know about the battle. They're calling it the Miracle at Rim Nebula." Alex chuckled softly. "Miracle? No, it wasn't a miracle. It was skill, teamwork, and heart. That's what makes humans dangerous. Not luck. Not size. Heart." As the fleet repaired and regrouped, word of the humans' victory spread across nearby systems. Traders, explorers, and even other alien species spoke in awe of the tiny human fleet that had survived against dragons. Rumors of courage and cunning traveled faster than any fleet. The galaxy began to notice humans, not for their size or strength but for their mind, bravery, and determination. Alex and Lila stood at the observation deck of the station, looking out at the stars. The nebula glowed faintly in the distance, colors swirling like fire in the darkness. "Do you think they'll come back?" Lila asked. "Of course," Alex replied. "Dragons always come back. But now we're ready. We know their tricks, their strengths, and their weaknesses. Next time we'll be even stronger. And humanity will still be here, standing, fighting, surviving." A soft cheer rose from the repair crews below. Children looked up in awe, dreaming of the stars, imagining themselves as the pilots who had faced dragons and lived. Adults whispered about bravery, about courage, about hope. The humans were more than survivors, they were heroes. Alex thought about the future. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers and unknown enemies. But humans had proven something important. Size, strength, or even fear could not defeat spirit, ingenuity, and courage. One spark of determination could light an entire star system. Lila smiled at him. You think we'll see them again? Alex looked out at the nebula and smiled, a small, confident smile. Maybe. But we'll be ready. Humans always are. And if they come, we'll show them again that we never back down. No matter how big the enemy is, no matter how strong they are. Humans always fight and we always survive. The stars shimmered, distant and endless, silent witnesses to humanity's courage. The fleet moved forward, small but unbroken, carrying hope across the galaxy. And though the dragons had not been destroyed, the humans had proven one undeniable truth. They were clever, brave, and unstoppable when they worked together. Captain Alex Mercer took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. The war was far from over, but humanity had made its mark. Against impossible odds they had won. And in the quiet of space, among the stars, a new legend began. The legend of humans who faced dragons and refused to lose. The galaxy would never forget it,